This is take 2, guys.
Hopefully it's working this time.
Hopefully it's working this time.
Yeah, it is for me. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it.
Denny's set. He's good to go. Well, let us know. Sorry for the delay here. We've been having some technical issues getting things, audio running, streaming running, things running, just in general. It's a weird day.
Yeah.
It's, coming back from this. It's just like it's this weird half day. Like, I don't even know why we're here today.
I don't either.
Well, I just said in my first take that it was to entertain you guys.
Yeah.
How are we doing at that so far? Are you entertained?
Yeah.
Are we good, Tony? Are people here?
Yeah, there's people here.
Okay, good.
Okay.
They can actually see us and hear us.
Woo!
All right.
Okay, so on Wednesday, Denny started this floral belt of his own design that he showed how to do a tap off. He had 9.5-inch pattern that he tapped off to this lovely Herman Oak belt strip, and he started cutting it and doing some petal lifting.
Yeah, I had it cut, and I used the undershot beveler.
The undershot beveler, and then you started beveling the lines.
I started beveling.
Yeah. And so between Wednesday afternoon and this morning, he's gone through and he's done some backgrounding and really tooled up most of this end.
Actually,
If you want to take a look at that.
up to here, up to this point right here, I've got this belt finished as far as the tooling goes.
Look at that. There it is.
But I left a little bit down here so I could show you guys if you wanted to see it.
If you care to follow along here this morning.
I'm going to start where I would start ordinarily, even if you guys weren't here.
He's just going to do his thing.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
going to start with a bar grounder now because I've got it all beveled, and bar grounding would be my next step. So I'll start with that. You guys can just watch along.
Well, toodles.
And I will tootle, yes. Bar grounding, some people don't like to do it. I do like to do it. I think it gives the leather a lot different look than a matte backgrounder does.
And you have a set of Berry King
Yeah, these are Berry King
bar grounders.
bar grounders. You can get a lot of bar grounders, but Bear King really makes the best as far as I'm concerned.
I believe that was one of your paychecks, wasn't it?
Yes.
From Rusty.
Yes.
He got you bar grounders.
Yeah, that's how. They don't give me money. In fact, Rusty always says that. He says, I never give this guy a raise, but I buy him a tool now and then. This, to watch this is kind of like, probably pretty boring to people.
Oh no, people love watching you tool. In fact, I think that's some of our favorite videos, is people just watching you tool as soon as Tony will get all the cameras set up correctly so that they can see you tool.
Well,
So
just a
they
little
can see
adjustment.
this.
He's over here moving things around furiously.
Is it my fault again, Tony?
Probably.
All right. I'm doing my job then.
Probably so. If not, I'll blame you.
Yeah, these bar grounders are a number 40, and I have a 3, 5, and a 7 seed one. You need different sizes because some of your spots are too small for your big bar grounders.
Yeah.
So you can't buy just one. It's like eating potato chips.
Gotta collect them all.
Yeah.
It's like Pokemon.
I was gonna say that's not really potato chips at all. That's Pokemon.
So Denny, what's your process while you're bar grounding?
My process, okay, I start out with tracing my pattern onto my leather. Then the first thing I do is I cut my border. And then I will generally do my undershots.
Yep, we got all your undershots on your petals filled in.
I will generally do my undershots next. Then I will bevel my border, and then I will start the rest of the beveling. And after I've beveled, then I will do my bar grounding or back grounding, whatever.
And when you were beveling, you started with the flowers and the leaves, right?
Yes, I just kind of try to get a routine where I do it every time, and I'll do the flowers and the leaves and the stems, and then I'll go in and just go back and do all the finish work, all the fill in stuff. All the chicken necks and stuff are generally pretty long flowing lines. There's not a lot of curves and didos to them, so it's a little simpler process, and I like to end up like that. It's like,
sure, you get all the hard work done, and then you get the easy stuff.
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay, well, that was pretty quick, so we got all that bar grounded.
Wasn't that quick? I did the whole thing.
Well, this little part was fast.
All right. Now, next step I'm going to do will be, I'll use my thumbprint, which is this, where am I here?
Over here by this camera on my end.
This one.
You may do the overhead camera, that'll make it easy on you.
Yeah. This is my thumbprint right here. And this one has horizontal lines on it. You know, that's a matter.
This is also a Berry King?
Yes, it's also a Berry King.
So if you're interested, it's Berry King, and his number is 8791-02. 8791-02 for this thumbprint with like some horizontal texture.
Yes, horizontal lines, yeah. And he makes several sizes. That's the size I use for almost everything that I do. Because a thumbprint has a fat end and a narrow end. See, it has a fat end over here and a narrow end here, and you can use both ends of it.
Well, not that fancy.
Yeah. So anyway, you want a little more moisture in your leather when you use a thumbprint because you're trying to spread a lot of leather out.
So when you do your background, do you also prefer it to be a little bit on the dry side?
I prefer
just like when you're beveling?
Really dry, even drier than when I bevel.
Okay.
The background seems to be more crisp when I do that.
Sure.
But now I'm going to do my thumbprint, and I'm going to start with my flower petals. A lot of people overdo their thumbprint, but it doesn't take much. Just the main thing to remember is the flow of your flower. Everything wants to go towards the center of your flower. All right, got that flower done. I'm going to do this next one. I turn my leather a lot. A lot of people say they don't think that's right, but I think it is.
It's been working for you.
Well, yeah. If I can't see what I'm doing or contort myself enough to do the job, I'll mess things up. So I'm doing one side of this flower. Now I'm going to turn it where I can reach the other side. And most of this flower is kind of going to be buried under your buckle and keeper and stuff, but I'm still going to give it a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So, go ahead.
Okay, now I've got the flower done. Now I'm going to go back and do these leaves.
And so just for those of you that didn't join us on Wednesday or have forgotten, this belt will be given away on Monday. Tony and I will be here once again for 5 hours of live sales starting at noon Central Standard Time. For 5 beautiful hours of live sales. So every hour has a different theme. We've got upholstery leathers, we've got upholstery hides, we'll have some veg tan, we're gonna have some exotics. Hint, we did find a little bit of shell cordovan that we're gonna be throwing up in there.
Cool.
So just keep your eyes peeled for that.
Probably each piece of that shell will be less than 100.
Yep. We're gonna have some really good deals on. I think we maybe got like 5 pieces of shell that we're gonna have on Monday. We've got exotics, if I didn't already say that, and then oil tans. So, and then embossed leathers. So we've got a whole beautiful, awesome lineup. We've been finding all of the cool miscellaneous things that have been stored over in our other building, or just some fun stuff that we found in our leather warehouses here. So that will be on Monday. And then every hour we'll have one giveaway. So every hour, one line item Tony will have highlighted, and the person that is lucky enough to win that item bid will get the free item for that hour. So we've got Denny's belt that I believe will be able to go up to a size 44, 45.
Yeah, something like that.
So the person for that hour that wins the belt, we will size it for you or for whomever you would like us to size it for. We'll be giving away some of the leather bowls that Marvin made while he was here. We've got this lovely purse actually that will probably be one of the giveaways, and then some other fun stuff. So it's a little incentive for you guys to do some shopping. Not that you need incentive to buy cool leather from us or anything.
Yeah, I've about got my thumbprint done. I did my flowers and my leaves. Now I'm doing all these chicken eggs. Thing to do with the thing to remember about the thumbprint is just a little bit goes a long ways, and you always want to follow the flow of your pattern. You know, the flowers always go towards the center, and all the vine work goes towards the center of the vine, which keeps going away from you. All right.
Let's see here, Denny. Is this a 9 to 10 ounce belt strip?
Yes.
Probably?
Yes.
9 to 10 ounces on this Herman Oak belt strip.
Okay, next step. I'm going to work on my flowers. I'm going to take this. We have regular flower center liners. This is one I've made out of just what's the name? This number on this tool. This is a P861, and it was just rounded on.
Right.
Yeah, it was just rounded on this end, and I just kind of filed it off flat.
Of course you did.
Took a little round file. But you can do the same thing without altering this tool. But I'm just going around the outside of this flower center, and this is to give the illusion of depth to your flower center.
Now, are you using that flat side that you ground up, or are you using the pointy end?
Yes. This flat side, this flat side is the part that goes right against your flower center.
And then what do we? Oh, and here we are.
Yeah, right against.
So we're making all these little marks around.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just making it
Giving
looks like the petal kind of domes in towards that flower center.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to go halfway around, then I'm going to do this other flower.
And then you're going to flip it, aren't you?
Yeah, and then I'm going to flip it around and I'll do the other half.
Let's see here. So Vanessa asked, or she stated that she saw you adding moisture, so she saw you spraying down your belt strip again, and she's been taught that adding moisture, you'll lose some of the detail. And what's your thoughts on that?
It depends on what you're doing. I didn't add very much moisture for the thumbprint and this tool that I'm using now. I want a little more moisture in it because I want the leather a little softer so I can move it easier.
But you're not saturating.
No,
again.
I'm not saturating the leather at all.
But obviously, I mean, you didn't work on this all day yesterday.
No.
So it dried.
It dried.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wet it back up this morning and did a lot of this finish work on it. But, you know, people are always looking for that, the perfect time to tool their leather. There's only 1 second in time that it's perfect. There's one little sweet spot. So you've just got to deal with it the rest of the time. You know, when it's real wet, you just have to be more careful with it because the leather is very soft. If it's too dry, you just need to add some water to it.
Yes, ma'am.
We have some company that just walked in.
Our good friend Rorik, formerly of Springfield Leather Manufacturing Shop, now of Herman Oak, brought me my very own Herman Oak sweatshirt.
Oh, very nice.
How cool. And it's green,
it's a
guys.
hoodie.
Did he not know what size I wore or what? We're
He
about the
doesn't-
same size.
He doesn't love you as much. Sweet.
That is nice.
I'm
That's
so.
very
This is nice. This is Under Armour.
Yeah.
Herman
I know.
Oak buys their employees fancy stuff.
I'm gonna have to go have a talk. I'll be right back.
Tell him I'm an extra large.
Oh, how exciting. So this is actually really funny. So this morning, you know, we're just kind of always waiting for leather from Hermit Oak. But so we are, I've got some of our drum dyed brown on order. And so I sent Rourke a text message this morning and I was like, hey, you know, just if you're in the shop today, I didn't know if they'd be working today, but they're obviously not. I was like, if you're in the shop today, I was just curious about this, you know, just let me know what kind of timeline we're looking at for it. And literally I was like standing in the shop and I sent him that message. And then I walk into the other room in our shop and he's standing right there reading my text message that I just sent him. And I was like, oh, I guess you're not there today. You can tell me on Monday what's going on. So anyways.
That's cool.
How exciting. They're probably just like, listen, Liz, I gave you something. Now, please stop texting me 5 times a day about leather.
All right, you guys, I finished using my flower center liner. Now I'm using a leaf liner on the outside of these leaves.
What number is that? What we got?
This is a PB, P as in Paul, B as in brother, 016.
So just this trapezoid guy.
And I'll use it on each side of these leaf stems. And what it does, I don't know if you can see this very well.
There we go.
But, yeah, right down here. You can see between the thumbprint and the leaf liner, it creates a mound, kind of a... Mm-hmm. They call that the Sheridan Ridge, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to use those two tools in conjunction to make that ridge. It makes the leaf look a little more realistic.
You want to show it on the overhead? Maybe we can see it better? I don't know.
Yeah, you can kind of see it right here. You can kind of see that ridge. If you're looking at this, you know, directly, it's easy to see that ridge. But when you're looking at a flat screen, it's not so readily visible.
Let's see here. Mark asked if we can ship to Canada. Yes, we can ship to Canada. I believe that we've sent kangaroo lace before up to Canada. The only thing, Tony, do you know about that? Is it considered exotic?
Yes, I believe that it is considered exotic. And there's a lot up in the air with kangaroo right now.
Yeah.
So
the thing is that like we pay a Fish and Wildlife import license in order to get kangaroo to us from Australia. And so then when you go to send it back out of the country, typically you have to pay that Fish and Wildlife permit, or for every shipment that you send, the paperwork has to go with it. So usually when we're shipping out exotics, it adds it's $90 per exotic for that paperwork to go through. And so if you will contact, I believe, team at Springfield Leather, they should have the information on what our options are. We can ship to Canada. We're happy to get you a quote. Once again, you can put in an order on the website. Like you can fill your cart and then send an email to team at Springfield Leather and say, hey, this is my account. Please check out my cart and get me a shipping quote on what it would be to ship those items up to the address that you have on file with us in Canada. And then just for the exotics, there is that. It's like a $90 fee per item that you just need to be aware of. With the lace, I'm not 100% sure if that's applicable or not, but the office window would be able to get you that information. I forget. Because I know that we do ship sometimes up to Canada with kangaroo. And I'm not sure if they're paying that.
If things happen on a worst case scenario, we may not even be able to get kangaroo in the United States anymore.
Really?
Is that happening?
There's laws in front of legislation right now that are talking about making it illegal to import kangaroo.
Well, for the time being, we do have lace and we do have skins.
I know that we're behind on some of the kangaroo that we do have because of COVID. They were not exporting anything out of Australia.
Yep. So if you before you place an order, you might just call or email and see what's going on, see if we've got in stock what you're looking for. You know, things are weird right now in the world.
Maybe we can have razor blades send us some. He was asking, what do you call a two-legged cow?
A kangaroo?
Probably what they call them over there in Australia.
A two-legged cow?
I think that's something that we misunderstand over here. We have a lot of deer in the United States.
They have a lot of kangaroos.
They have kangaroo crossings the same way because they will just hop across the road right in front of you, or they'll just box you in the nose.
Yeah, kangaroos are interesting creatures.
Box you in the nose.
Have you seen them?
Have you seen them box?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
I have.
them jokers are stout.
Yeah, they are. Like the alpha males, like their chest gets all red too. They've got like some chemical or something that they excrete, and like their chest will get all red, and then they're like, I don't know. They're neat.
They're
I think that they're neat. I want a kangaroo.
We had a question, Denny.
Too late
Where
for
would
that.
you use a round beveler as opposed to a square one?
You can use a round beveler on an inside scallop. A round beveler is helpful a lot of times. On an outside curve, you don't want to use a round beveler because you'll be leaving little tracks everywhere. On an outside curve, a lot of people will use a convex shaped beveler, but there again, you can do the same thing with a straight beveler, inside and outside.
Okay.
Okay, where am I here?
I don't know. Where are you?
You were using that plane. That was a plane veiner, right? That was smooth.
Yeah, what I've done with this veiner, this is an obsolete veiner here, but it's just a straight line veiner. This is a V745 or 48. We have one that's fairly comparable, which is a V715.
Okay.
I know that for a fact because that's the one I have all my students use.
And then you were just
But I'll use this. I'll go right up against our flower center right
Okay.
here, because when you go around that flower center with your center liner, you blot a lot of this line that you've already beveled out. So this re-accentuates that. Plus, it gives you a more of an illusion of depth right there.
A little texture in there.
Yeah, but I go around all 4 points of that petal.
All right.
And where else have I used it? I used it right here on these leaf stems. Right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Right there.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to use... this is kind of a... What would they call this beveler?
Is that a beveler?
Yeah, or I mean a veiner. A wiggle wart.
A wiggle wart veiner.
Oh,
I like it.
But I'm going to use it on my my leaf. The
So this is a V821.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
Okay. And you can put as many of these vein marks on the leaf as you want, but on the rest of them, I just put 3 on each side. So that's how I'm going to do these.
For some reason, this overhead camera is not wanting to zoom any more than that. You keep going what you're going. I just need to... Maybe I should turn off the...
You crawl around. We'll enjoy laughing at you.
This is what happens when you can't see what's going on.
We got Tony on a table today, guys.
Tony on a table, just doing some table surfing. Which is probably better than it could be.
There was a couple times that I was working out on retail, and it would I'd be redoing the displays on some of our front tables, and I'd be standing up on the front table, and a customer would come in, and I would catch them off guard because they would think that it would be a mannequin positioning something, and then I would move and they would get scared, which would be pretty funny.
You thought it was funny.
I did. I thought it was funny.
All right, I've got those.
Look at that.
Leaves have been.
That just makes all the difference.
Yeah, it just gives them a little more. I don't know if it's realistic, but a little more texture to
Sure.
those leaves.
It gives the antique a little something to dig into and get it darker right there.
Now I've got another veiner, and this one is it's a V2795. I'm pretty sure that's a Tandy beveler, or a Tandy veiner. I don't know. I've had it for quite a while, and I like to use it. So that's what I'm going to use.
It just seems like it's more scalloped. It's
just a finer scallop.
Okay, so that's tighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to use it on my flower stems. If
Ooh,
you
look at
can
that.
see, I used it right there. That's what I'm going to do.
We can see that.
You can. All right. And I go right up against the flower petal, and I just fan it around. If you just go straight, it doesn't give it the same effect. You need to fan
follow
this tool.
Everything about this is vantage points. You want to follow that line.
Yes. A matter of perspective, you were talking about that, yeah, because it goes from wide. It looks like you're looking at it from a distance.
Yep.
Yeah.
We all learned that in drawing class.
Yes.
In like 7th grade.
Yes.
You put a dot back here on the back side of your page, and then you draw the room towards that dot.
I remember I took a drafting class when I was in high school, I think, and that's one of the few things I do really remember was the part about perspective. But anyway, that's done to all the flower leaves or flower stems. Now, what have I got going? Okay, I'm ready for. I'm ready for my mule's foot, and this is just a real small mule's foot. You know, and it doesn't matter which one you use, just use a small one. This is a U851. And I'm going to just do my flower and my leaf stems with this. And when you use it, you're pretty firm with it at first and pretty close together, and you just lighten up with each stroke so it just fades out. You want to keep them fairly close together. It just kind of gives the stems kind of a ribbed effect. It separates them, differentiates them from
the chicken necks.
Yeah, from the chicken necks. You like that?
I do. It cracks me up every time.
If you can come up with a better name for them.
No, I think it's great. You have the best names for everything.
We could call them turkey necks because I saw a turkey neck yesterday.
Did you?
It looked just like this one. Okay, I've used that. Now I'm going to use, this is another, it was a small veiner, which I just took to a grinder again. And I just ground it off really fine, and it's just straight. There's no lines on it or
so
anything.
It used to be a
PV018.
That's what it started out as, and you can just grind it down to a fine.
But I'm just using this like a really large mule's foot.
Okay.
And you could use this mule's foot too, which is a SKU 857. And do the same thing. This just gives it a bit different effect. And I'm using this at the end where there's a whole lot of lines that come together. This just kind of detracts from just looking at the end of those lines. You look at this instead of...
Let me switch over there.
So this right here.
Yeah. Do that over here too. You don't want to overdo tools like this. Just a little bit goes a long ways.
I feel like at this point it's just adding depth.
Yeah.
And adding accents and giving the eye something to just blend everything together.
Yeah. Something else to look at other than your mistakes. Well, it does. You know, everybody says, oh, my beveling looks terrible, and oh, my backgrounder didn't do what I wanted it to. But by the time you get all this stuff in there, you're not looking at those small little parts. You're looking at the whole thing as a whole, the big picture.
Okay.
Oh, two-legged cow.
Oh, yeah.
Lean beef.
Lean beef. Okay. Because it leans?
Yeah.
All right. Forward or backward or to the side?
What two legs it has. I guess if it was well balanced and it was a front left and a back right, he could still be upright. He's just a teeter cow.
Okay.
He's not going anywhere.
The last thing here is our decorative cuts. And let me see here. we'll get to where I've
There we go.
already done them. I'm going to start with the flowers. Do a few. These are a matter of taste. Whatever you think looks good. And I'll have to tell you, I am definitely a plagiarist. I look at other people's work, and if I see something that I think looks good, that's what I try to do. You know, and these flowers are done my interpretation of someone else's stuff. You know, the flowers and the chicken necks and everything else. But,
I'll tell you what, with those decorative cuts, Kevin just says practice, practice, practice.
yes.
You just practice starting deep with a little swirl and then pulling up. Starting deep with a little swirl, pull it up.
That's right. That's right. Immediately lighten up and let it just float out into a hairline.
Yeah.
And there again, watch your flow. You don't want to do these against the flow line of your project, or you're defeating your purpose. They never look very good. And there again, here I am turning my leather a lot again, but
Your hand looks really good as we watch these decorative cuts. Tony, I don't know if the camera to our right here would.
That one doesn't do very well at all.
No.
That one's really far away.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Any other suggestions?
I think we're out of cameras.
I've gone to all the ones I have.
And here again, I'm doing my flowers first. The leaves, I generally don't put any decorative cuts on at all.
I can't see it because you're flip-flopping your leather around everywhere.
Well, good for you.
Wow. We've had some chat communication that has been going on YouTube talking about different countries of leather. From U.S. leather or Mexican tanneries or China tanneries, and the quality that comes from each.
You know what? I personally think every country and every different tannery makes a pretty nice leather, but they're all different. You know, if you're expecting to get the same kind of leather from one tannery as you do another one, you're...
No, because they're all proprietary formulas. And they
Yeah.
all have, I mean, while like the basics of tanning are the same, everybody has
a different recipe.
their spin on it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's, that's why everybody says, why do we press Herman oak so much? Because for us, for a tooler, I think, most toolers anyway, they're the ones that have the formula that tools the best, the nicest, the smoothest.
That holds the best.
Yeah. And that's not to say that you can't tool other people's leather, because you sure can.
Could you maybe not hold it so much with that hand?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could see what I was doing while I'm doing it.
That's okay. I got it. That's why I'm
I
here.
do
That's
that.
really the only reason I'm here. It's just to keep him on camera.
Okay. I'm just about done here. On these chicken necks, you don't want to overdo them either. Just remember, start on kind of a hook and immediately lighten up.
And never just a straight line, I feel like
Yes.
is the other thing.
Yeah.
You always want a bit of a curve. Go towards the vantage point.
Yeah, because there aren't any straight lines.
That is correct.
Another thing,
Except for the border lines. Those ones are mostly straight.
yeah. Another thing that I do a lot is I will use a hair blade. This is a homemade hair blade
that's what
right
it is.
here.
Yeah.
But you can get one off the rack that will do basically the same thing. But this is one I made out of a nail a long time ago, and I just use it.
I feel like for this tooling class, we're just learning about all the tools that Denny has modified.
But I'll go to all my stems, my leaf stems and my flower stems, and just give them a little more texture with this. All the tools I've modified.
At this point, you probably want the leather to be decently dry.
Yeah, fairly dry. You need a little bit of moisture in it.
You know, I used your hair blade, Denny, when I was making that feather. You weren't here when I did it, but I used your hair blade to make a feather.
All right. And this is...
I don't know. Where do you want to go?
I don't know. This is called a back beveler. And this is, again, one that I made. It's one that we don't carry, but Barry King makes a nice back beveler.
It's almost like a little seat, like a little saddle is what it looks like.
Yeah. And what it does, Kevin says he used to do the same thing with a modeling tool. And I'm sure you can do that. But I use this because I like it. I own it.
I made it.
But all this does...
Sorry.
All this does is kind of round your stems so they don't look just like a flat stem. They look round.
I was saying Robert made a good point on YouTube as they're so... The talk right now is between all of it and which one's better and which one is not. But the luxury that we have all those choices now.
Yes.
Of what it is.
We're pretty spoiled.
Right. When they were first making those Circle Y saddles, Denny. Or some of those first saddles that you made, the tools that you even had to, or when they were first coming out with tooling anyway. Probably Doc Holliday didn't have too many choices in his leather tooling tools.
If you saw a lot of the really old saddles that were made by a small shop in a small town somewhere, I would say almost all of their tools were made homemade, made out of an old nail or a piece of harness hardware or an old wagon,
right?
A bolt or something, and most of those saddles weren't ornately flower tooled, but they had a lot of geometric type designs on them. Now, if you go to some of the big production companies, like all those, there were 5 big companies, I believe, in Pueblo, Colorado. All those were a little bit different, and I would say a lot of their tools were homemade, but a lot of them they had made by someone, because they made saddle after saddle that were the same,
All right.
Okay, folks, this belt is done other than the finish that we're going to put on it.
And just about every 9.5 inches it repeats.
Yeah, if you can find where it repeats, I'll give you 50 cents.
I'll give you 50 cents.
I'll have to cash a check.
Yeah, he's only getting, you've been here about 3 hours a day, so you're up to $12 so far you've made today?
Yeah.
Look at that. All right.
But anyway, that's all I've got.
Okay.
I can do one other thing, use my back beveler on the border. Because a lot of these, can we go to that overhead again?
I got you.
A lot of, if you look at this is where I kind of overstamped on my center liner. But I can kind of get rid of that with a lot of it with this back beveler.
Just kind of redefine some of those lines.
Yeah, it just rounds that border over instead of being a flat spot. And it'll kind of swell some of those little marks out.
This reminds me of when Kevin was doing those picture scenes and he was doing the forest or the trees and stuff, and you just keep going. You just keep worrying it.
Yep.
Until you've hit every inch of that piece of leather and you've got everything where you want it.
Yeah. And a lot of this stuff, you don't have to do all these steps, I do.
Because Denny gets paid by the hour.
Yeah, I get paid by the hour. But not every time, each project that I do will be a bit different. I think I've said it before, I've never been able to do 2 things the same. Every time I redo a pattern, it'll be different than the time before.
All right. So David asked on Facebook, what are the most tooling tools? What's the brand that you use, Denny?
I use a lot of our SK tools, and I use a lot of Bear King tools. And I use a lot of our
regular tools.
Yeah, our regular tools that we sell off the wall.
Yeah, and then now you've been incorporating the new Sergey tools that we have coming in.
Yeah, I use it. Most of Sergey's tools are geometric type, but yes, I use them.
I got
too.
your basket weave. Still geometric, but.
But you can. Okay, now we can look at these two together, and you can see how they're going to be different. They aren't. It's exactly the same pattern that I tapped off, but they're going to be a bit different, one to the other.
I really like that bar grounder.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't so hard to use.
It's not hard to use. It's just something you've got to use a little bit before you figure out how.
Well,
practice.
Yeah.
thanks for that, Denny. Terry asks, do you use a different swivel knife for different tooling, like decorative cuts or outlining?
A lot of times I will, but this time I just used the same swivel knife to
The same one that you
cut
guys
my
can't buy
pattern.
because it's a random one, so don't ask about it.
But it doesn't matter. A swivel knife, all that matters is the blade.
And that you've stropped it.
That you stropped it and it's sharp, because you're just going to use the point of it. The first guy that showed me how to build saddles, his name was Bob McCrae. He used to work for a company in California called Visalia, which was a very big production company.
Okay.
But there was a guy there that all he did was, they called, all the tooling they called stamping. Whether it was geometric or carving, they called it stamping. And someone that did it was a stamper. But he said the best stamper they had fingers about a foot long. And there was no one that made a swivel knife he could use, so he used a cold chisel that he sharpened, which had no swivel on it. But he was the best stamper that they had.
A cold chisel.
A cold chisel. It was like a 3/8 inch cold chisel.
Okay.
That he sharpened.
It didn't even have a blade. He just sharpened a chisel.
Yes, just sharpened a chisel and used that.
They're pretty blunt. A cold chisel.
Yeah.
You take the whack metal off of something and it's stuck in concrete. This has not done too much construction work.
Most people think a cold chisel is something that's all mushroomed over at the top. This one probably wasn't. It was probably a brand new one.
It wasn't a
They hadn't been whacked around with a steel
cold
hammer.
chisel.
But a big old sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the last thing we have to do is you're probably going to antique this one. Your pattern that you have there looks like it's just oiled.
Actually, it wasn't even oiled. This is just I've just put a
quick shine.
top coat on it, and it just has turned dark with age.
Yeah. Yep, so Denny over here, he's got some neat's foot oil that he'll oil all this with, and then he'll put a top coat of Master's Quick Shine on it, and then he's got Sheridan Brown antique paste.
Yeah.
So from Phoebe's.
Yeah.
And that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, but we aren't going to do that here today.
That's right, because we're done, and we're
finish it up. Do you want to go over? We talked about the Cyber Monday sales that we got. 21 crazy days here for Black Friday has been a little crazy. Patterns are 25% off. Chocolate milk oil tan, which is really close to our bootstrap.
Mm-hmm.
The color's just a little bit different, but the feel is super nice. Great soft hand on that. You can buy a whole side of that for $80. An acrylic template of the Paisley Jigs. Cayman Tails for $20 for the assorted 5-pack.
Yep.
$50 surprise box. We had a question. What's in the $50 surprise box?
It's a surprise, guys.
Yeah.
Just trust us to get you really cool stuff.
It's gonna. If you're afraid to get it and you're like, oh, is it gonna be worth it? There will be enough in there for you to make something out there. There's a Kevin surprise that's in it.
Oh.
Yep. There's a
Kevin added a surprise.
Yep.
Okay.
Or from Kevin.
Okay.
His own blood, sweat, and tears went into what is coming in there. 8 to 9 ounce import single bins, $45, or there's branded and unbranded. I think the price is the difference between them. And then a $10 mystery leather side.
Ooh.
So it's going to be around 7 square feet, but it'll probably end up being a little bit more than 7 square feet. I heard from Corey.
Yeah, so lots of cool stuff today. So go to the website and check out our Black Friday specials. And then all of our 21 days will continue until Tuesday, right? Tuesday?
Yep, there'll be one more surprise box.
Yep, there'll be one more surprise box on Tuesday. But just FYI, on the Black Friday specials, those are only available today. So there are a handful of items that are just available today. Mm-hmm. So take advantage of those if any of that looks awesome to you. And then the 21-day sales will end on Tuesday of next week. So just make sure you've put that in your calendar as a reminder to get those purchases made by midnight Central Time on Tuesday.
All right.
And so we will see you on Monday, guys, for 5 hours of live sales. Woo! Please come join us. It's going to be a great time. Facebook only.
Facebook only. Trying to make some changes to where it's a little more stable.
We're trying. Tony's trying all the things.
Do.
All right. Well, I hope everybody has a great weekend and you are full stuffed all weekend and everybody is watching football and doing great things. So we will see you on Monday.
Bye-bye.
Do great things.
Do great things.